What is up, my beautiful people, and welcome back to another video. Look at me back 2 days in a row. Um, I am doing an old movie, 2006, Dreamgirls, because me and my friends have been talking about this movie, and we said we were going to do like a video together just talking about this movie, but instead we put it in our last podcast and wrapped it up quickly. But I'm going to have a more in-depth conversation. So let's go.
I do not owe you conversation. Let's also get that clear. We don't want to hear from you. Go away. She said, well, I changed my mind. And she has that right.
Okay, so the way this review is going to go, I'm going to tell you as if you've never seen the movie before, so just go with me. Dreamgirls starts off with a talent show. So we have four ladies who's in a group, they're doing their little thing. Boo, 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 boo. And then we have a man following behind two women, begging them not to leave. But the woman, she's like, I'm out of here. I'm not doing this with him no more, whoever Jimmy is. Um, and there's also a man like in the background watching. And it's real creepy because it's just like, who are you and why are you basically in the shadows just watching this go down? And one of the background singers says, tell Jimmy I got his number, his home number, to his wife. Let's go, girl. So it's just like, you can already put together Jimmy is a creep, doing wrong. So those two women are gone. And a young lady by the name of Dina Jones, who was played by Beyonce, comes running up to who she thinks is a showrunner and is like, I'm so sorry I'm late. My mama wouldn't go to bed, so we couldn't be here. And it's the guy that was creeping in the background who is, as of right now, just Jamie Foxx. And he looking at her like, okay, right, right. But he also like peeping her out. You could tell he like what he see. And until the real, like runner of the show steps up and he's like, who are you? And so then she turns and does it all over again. And he's like, you're late. You were supposed to go on second. The show is almost over. And so who Creepy Man introduces himself as is Curtis. And he's like, don't you want to give them a chance? And, basically talk the guy into still letting them perform. And Dina is looking at him like, okay, I see you. Thank you so much. And then Laurel, who is a part of the group, shows up. And while they're, getting themselves together, they're like, where's Effie? And Effie, who is played by Jennifer Hudson, I'm sorry, Laurel is played by Anika Noni Rose. Don't want to disrespect Miss Mamas. And she's like, I'm right here. Where's our dressing room? Like, what's going on? She ain't impressed by their surroundings. She's like, girl, we barely got a show to perform for. Come on, let's get ready. And so as they're getting ready, the group of lady who was on first walk past and looks at them, and they notice that they all have on the same wigs, but the ladies look at them like scoff and keep walking. So Miss Dina says, turn the wigs around. It's sophisticated looking. And it's like, Beyonce. Also, okay, let's pause and get into it right now. Is it really the fact that Beyonce is a terrible actor, or is it that she's Beyonce, so she can't get out of that mold of being Beyonce? So it's just like, oh, she can't act. I don't think so. I'm not saying she's the greatest actor ever. Nobody is saying that. But it's just like her acting is not as terrible as people make it seem. It's like you've had performers, like singers, rappers, go on to be great actors. Like off the top of my head, Tupac, Ice Cube, um, Will Smith, uh, LL Cool J, Method Man. It's like these people, they were great artists, like entertainers, to go on to be actors, but none of them were the magnitude of what Beyonce is. And I think when people see her in films, they just can't get over the fact that she's Beyonce, and they won't even get into the character that she's supposed to be. So like I said, I'm not saying she's Oscar worthy, but she's not as terrible as people make her out to be. Anyway, so while they're waiting to go on and perform, the MC comes standing next to Dina and is like, what's your names? And she says the dreamettes. And so his hand is trailing down her back and grips her butt until Effie steps up and put her hands on his shoulder like, excuse me, what you think you doing? And that, we're gonna get to that later. So, you know, they go out and perform, they killing it, and the man introduces them as the Creamettes, and their name is actually the Dreamettes. And I think he just did that because, you know, Effie stepped in on him being a creep. But anyway, while they're performing, Curtis goes up to the man who was trailing behind the women, and his name is Marty, and Marty is actually Jimmy's manager. And Jimmy is, you know, like this local big time singer who is played by Eddie Murphy. And he's like, you know, I'm a manager and I got this group of girls, you know, you can put them on in your show. And it was only supposed to be 2 girls, but he works it into it being all 3 of them. But Jimmy, like, when he looks at him in the face, he's like, didn't you sell me a car? And Curtis ain't even a manager. He really has his own car dealership. And Jimmy's like, yeah, I think I need to tune up. And he's like, man, get out my face. I'm not taking you serious. You own a car dealership. You ain't nobody manager. But when they're going on, like, what is that? That little elevator, like, from the ground up. And they stop on the girls. And he looks, and Jimmy is like, that's them? All right, you got yourself a deal. If y'all hear that creaking, I'm sorry, it's my chair. You got yourself a deal. And so he goes down to the girls. Oh, no. Even before that, Effie is like, I don't do oohs and ahs. I don't sing background. And, you know, when they didn't win, because they didn't win the contest, because Curtis paid the man, he was like, you know, take this for the Dreamettes not to win. And the man was like, they weren't going to win anyway, but thanks. And so that's how he worked his way into being their manager and, you know, basically agreeing to work with Jimmy through him. And that's how he, you know, he is slick talker. He really is. He's a slick talker. Yeah, then this is when Effie's like, I don't do oohs and ahs. I don't sing background. I am the lead, baby. And, you know, they're like, do you see our career going anywhere? Like, we might as well do some oohs and ahs. And this is Jimmy Early. Like, girl, what did you talking about? And that I can't agree with, because it's like, yeah, Effie, you're a great singer, but where's that getting y'all so far? So it's just like, use this as a stepping stone to get people to recognize your voice. And so they do it, and, you know, it turns out great. But the problem is, you can see when Jimmy introduces himself to the girls, because it's that iconic scene like, make your way to the top, running around. Sing that for me. And, you know, L'Oreal has that soft voice, running around, make your way to the top, running around. Oh, you fell right in there, didn't you? You can fake your round and around. Shit, I knew you had it. And I was like, you ain't gonna play Effie like that. You know Effie had the voice. Don't do that just because she a big girl. Because Jennifer Hudson, yeah, she was plus size, but she ain't like big, like my big. But don't play her like that. And so, anyway, Jimmy's problem is he's a married man who likes to sleep with multiple women. Because him being famous and being known, that gets him access to women who don't have a problem sleeping with a married man. And so, you know, when Curtis, like, macked his way into being their manager, he also macked his way into Effie Draws. And now that they've been performing and they've been on tour, Jimmy ain't killing it how he used to. So Curtis tells him, you know, you need a new sound. You've been doing the same old thing. It's time for something new. And at first, because he brings in Cece, like, you know, he writes the songs for the girls, and, you know, they dance moves and stuff, you know, bring on Cece so he can help you out. Now, Jimmy and Marty both, like, played him to the side, like, man, we ain't doing that shit. Y'all know what y'all talking about. Don't worry about it. We got it. And then Jimmy notices how when Cece goes to sit down at the piano, how the girls, like, come over and just flock and does what he says. And so he's like, you know, maybe that ain't so bad. I need to slide on over there. And then Marty he noticing what's going on, but he don't say nothing. And that's everybody's problem. People peeping shit, but ain't doing nothing about what they peeping. So it's just like, you should have nipped that in the butt. Well, he tried. I ain't gonna do that. Marty tried, but Jimmy said don't nobody control him. He think for himself. And so they record the song Cadillac Car. Got me a Cadillac, Cadillac, Cadillac. Got me a Cadillac car. Look at me, mister, I'm a star. You know, like how the song goes. And I ain't no singer, so, you know, pay me no, never mind. And it's a hit on the R&B and the pop charts. And, you know, inside of Curtis dealership, they will post the number, like what number it is on the pop charts, because it was steady climbing. I think it made it to like 38 before white people do what white people do. White people in. They stole it. And that, I wanted to fight so bad, because it's just like, I sung it earlier, and then you got the got me a cat, like took all the soul out of it and made it so plain, like they food. And it's just like, and white people love that. Ugh. Anyway, never mind. Which, of course, upsets CC, because he's like, do you hear this shit? That's my song. How can they just steal my song? But they white. So, of course, they can just do that and ain't no repercussions to it. And so Curtis tells him, you know, this happens all the time. But, you know, we not paying people to play our music, and that's what we got to do. So they have Everything Must Go. Well, Curtis has a Everything Must Go sale at his car dealership. And, you know, when they make all that money, they take it and they gamble it with the mafia, making even more money. And then they take that money that they won and place it on a bet on a fight, making even more money. So with all the money that they've made, they now go and, you know, they're starting to pay off people to play their records. So now they're starting to get some notoriety. And, you know, it's like what is it called? Is it a mirage? It's just like a show of things happening. Like, things are going good for everybody with him doing this. And while Dina is trying on a dress, it's a pretty dress. She look cute. She locks eyes with Curtis, and I'm like, that's the second time y'all done locked eyes and like gave each other that look. So I'm not understanding why y'all didn't get together in the first place. But Curtis knew what he was doing. He knew he had to get to Effie to make everybody else fall in line. But Curtis also goes behind Marty's back and is canceling tour dates for Jimmy and the girls. And he calls it the chicken circlet. You know, if you've ever seen Bessie and yes, Bessie, where Monique played Mama Rainey, I think it's the same thing of talking like, oh, excuse me, you're only going like in these small areas, you ain't gonna go nowhere. That's what chicken circlet is. It's basically like small towns, small clubs that ain't going nowhere. You just going in circles, no notoriety, can't nothing come of that. You just gonna be locally known. We're not doing that no more. We going to Miami, going to audition at this club, you know, where the white people are, because if you can get the white people to like you, then you made it. Which is such bullshit, but it's true. You know, when I mean bullshit, I mean it's fucked up that's the reality, but it's also the truth. It's like white people still have to approve of you for you to make it anywhere in life. Not my little ponytail trying to have some body to it when it's time for me to wash my hair. Anyway, man, fuck white people. Anyway, and so when he says that, Marty is like, Jimmy ain't gonna go for that. And Jimmy is standing at the door like, don't nobody speak for me. And so Marty quit. He like, you can't have it both ways. So if you want to follow behind him trying to cheat his way through, go ahead. That's what you gonna do. And so Marty quits. And so while they're performing at this all-white club, which you have, I guess he's a comedian talking before they perform, making jokes, because it's an all-white club, and he says, you know, we got a Negro performing, and, you know, after they're done, they can clean up, too. And it's just like... Anyway, so they're performing. It's white people approved. It's real slow. He not seen it, ain't got no soul to it, no nothing. But while they doing it, he can't get with it. You know, Jimmy like, nah, man. So he add his soul into it. He gyrating all in these people's face. And you know, white women, they are so easily offended. Like they've never had sex before. Oh my God. So, like 2-3 couples get up and walk out, and the man who, not Jimmy, Curtis was meeting with looked at him and was like, I gave you a chance and this is what you did. And so you could tell Curtis already plotting. Jimmy gotta go. So Laurel is 18 now, and her and Jimmy have sex. So that makes her think she's a woman now. Cause while they were on the bus during the tour in the beginning, she like snuck to the back of the bus where the men were. The women were in the front and the men were in the back. And they were talking and kissing. And she was like, but are you married? He said, come on now, baby. Everybody knows Jimmy is married. She said, well, keep your married hands off. But she still ended up having sex with him. So now she's just like, and she's like, I love Jimmy, but basically want everybody to know that she done had sex now. And it's just like, oh, baby, you are such a baby. You can tell because you want everybody to know. And it's just like, you should have kept that to yourself. And Dina, she basically, like, she worried about the tour. She's like, you know, I wonder what happened. And she's like, what you talking about ain't got nothing to do with me. I'm focused on business, honey. But even Effie came in and was like, you know, ain't nothing wrong with doing it with the person you love. And it feels so good. So, like I said, Dina, like, cute for y'all, but can we get back to the business, though? And I think that's because deep down, the person that she wanted was with her friend. And so Curtis comes in and tells him, you know, y'all not doing them dates and y'all not doing the tour. And they're like, why? What happened? And he was like, I'm breaking y'all up. Laurel jumps. Sis is funny. She jumps up. She said, I know why you're doing it. You're just jealous. And it's like, if you could like watch the movie and look at Curtis's face and Dina's face when she started going on comedy, like pure gold, the way they looking at her like, girl. And he like, no, y'all gonna become y'all own group again. And so, you know, everybody's happy about that. But of course Curtis tries to slide it in that Dina is now singing the lead. And Effie is like, excuse me, I don't do background. She ain't got the voice that I got. What is you talking about? And he's like, you know, they gonna be performing for television, and kids are gonna want to see people that look like Dina. So light skinned, well, you know, like lighter than Effie. So it's just like a lighter skin, a smaller body. That's what is gonna appeal to kids. So she's like, so she's singing lead because you like the way she looks? Third instance. When he first met her, when she was trying on that dress, and with what he said. And so of course he gives her a kiss and is like, you know, no baby, you know I like the way you look, but this is business. And it's just like that right there. It's just like, that is so messed up. And it's like, it's still working in society now. It's like, you got like what am I trying to say? Plus size is approved, but a certain type of plus size. It's like, you still got to have a big butt and your stomach still got to be small. It's basically, you got to have big titties, big ass, and a little gut. You can't have a big old gut. Or even, it is like certain girls that do have a big gut, but you still got to have a big booty. It's like, what about the people like me? Who gonna like my body? I got a big chest, I got a big stomach, but ain't nothing back there. Ain't nothing back there at all. And it's like that type, what do they call it? Like an apple type body. Like, that's not shown in media and that's not praised. It's more so like the Coke bottles and peaches and all that type of stuff. So it's just like, they still only want a certain body type is what I'm trying to get at. And so then Dina's like, yeah, she's right. I can't sing like she can, and I don't want to be the lead. Y'all gonna do what I tell you to do. And it's like, wait a minute, Ike. Who are you talking to? But they all fall in line because it's like, Effie, she's like, well, what about me? And they go into We Are a Family. And it's like, Effie, sis, that's your second time peeping something too, where, no, that was Marty that peeped it. So, Effie, this is your first time peeping what's going on here. It's just, no, I shouldn't say second, because he promised that she wasn't going to be stuck singing background. And it's like, so she done sung background for Jimmy. Now she's singing background in her own group, which they formed first. And everybody, and that's why I say everybody gaslit her and went into singing We Are a Family. It's like, think about everybody and how this can help everyone. But it's just like, y'all know how Effie is, y'all been knew how Effie is, but Effie swallowed it. And it's just like, you know what, you're right, this for the family, this for the group, this what we gonna do. But eventually I'm coming from back here, because this ain't what I do. And everybody knew that. So it's like, don't try to make her seem like she's this terrible person if y'all knew from the get-go how she was. And so they are performing Dreamgirls, like the hit song, with Dina now in the front. And Dina's mom even comes to see her. And she's sitting next to Curtis, and she says, I'm amazed, Mr. Curtis. As much as I love my daughter, I never thought she had much of a voice. This fool tells her mama Dina has, what did he say? Dina has something better. She has quality. And she says, you make her sound like a product. Product. I like that. And it's just like, why has nobody beat Curtis' ass by now and just let him talk crazy like this? And, after they perform, because the record is light and fluffy, they're dancing. You got Dina with her strong neck in the front just singing, and people love it. So the girls are becoming stars. They're traveling all over the world and making hit records. And during the interview where he's holding, I think it was a gold plaque, he's like, you got to have the right ingredients for a group to make it work. It's like a sundae. And so one of the interviews says, and is Dina the cherry on top? He called her, the ice cream? He basically called her everything. Like, basically, them hoes over there ain't really about nothing. It's all about her right here. And that's the third time Effie done peeped something, because she noticing how he talking about Dina and basically playing not only her, I should say not only L'Oreal, but also her to the side, because it's L'Oreal, like, no shade, baby, but you was just there, light and fluffy, basically just to make it a group. Instead of a duo, it was a trio, because L'Oreal ain't add nothing. And so while they're recording a song called Heavy, 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 you guys are, let me stop. Curtis is talking crazy to Effie, because he's like, you still too loud, back up so Dina's voice can shine. And she's like, really? So now that you sleeping with her, you trying to play me to the side? And he's like, either back off or I'm gonna make you back off. So when they go to record again, Effie just goes full blown out, singing in her full voice, and walks out like, you know what? Fuck all of y'all. Fuck all of you hoes. I don't need this. And he goes after her. And when they make it outside, it's a riot going on outside. And, he comforts her and has to tell people, we black owned. We black owned. Don't you throw shit over here and mess up my business. And so then they're doing a live performance of Heavy. And Curtis is telling, like, the camera crew to only focus on Dina. Like, tighten up the cameras on Dina. But there's a section where you can see the cameras as well as they're performing. And Effie, again, notices that it's only on Dina. It's not on L'Oreal and it's not on herself. So she walks off yet again. And it's just like, girl, but we rehearsing, though. What is you doing? And they walking behind her, gaslighting her again. You going crazy. Tell me what I've done, Effie. It's like, what have you done? So you gonna play stupid? Okay. And she says, you stole my dream, Dina, and you stole my man. And Curtis is like, you better stop talking like that, girl. What's wrong with you? We in front of these white people, chill out. And she's like, man, I don't care. You can let everybody hear. I know that y'all two sleeping together and y'all trying to play me like I'm crazy and you trying to kick me out the group. And so, once again, I guess like she just thought that was going to be the end of it and they were going to continue doing what they were doing. And so, while Dina and Laurel are rehearsing, Effie is at a doctor's appointment. And, oh, excuse me. Dina tells Curtis she don't feel right about something, but he tells her that it's done and let that be that. And she don't say nothing. She just goes along with it. And so Effie shows up to rehearsal and everybody is surprised to see her there. And she's like, I'm so sorry about the way I've been acting lately and that I miss rehearsal and stuff like that, but I done figured out I'm much better. Let's go. Let me go get my dress. And Cece tells her, don't worry about making it tonight. And she's like, boy, where my dress? And then we see a woman come from the back, dressed as the girls, like she a part of the group. And so Effie is like, what's going on? And Cece tells her Curtis was supposed to, and it's just like, that goes into another song. But it's like, no, Curtis wasn't supposed to do nothing. We just met this nigga. I've been with first of all, you're my motherfucking brother. And y'all two, we've been friends since we was kids. But y'all letting him speak and letting him make all the decisions. Can't nobody tell me nothing. Can't nobody step to me. And so, then Curtis come in talking about, there you are. I've been looking all over. You ain't been looking nowhere for her, because why is everybody surprised at the fact that she don't know what's going on? And that's another thing I hated about her so-called friends and her family. We are a family like a giant tree, but where was the family at when y'all knew y'all was doing dirt behind my back though? Everybody planned for me to be kicked out the group, but didn't nobody want to say nothing to my face until here come Curtis talking greasy. Now everybody got a backbone. Dina, you was getting felt up and couldn't say nothing to nobody. You couldn't defend yourself. Effie did that for you in the beginning. But now, since you the star of the group, you done got some backbone and now you want to talk crazy. Talk about it's you always thinking of you. Maybe she was a little bit selfish. But y'all knew that from the beginning though. Ain't nobody never said nothing. Why do y'all wait till Curtis come in and then all of a sudden everybody got something to say? And Laurel, you shouldn't have opened your damn mouth. Talking about you a part of this group too. When? You don't make none of the decisions. You just stand back and do what, oohs and ahs. You oohs and ahs, girl. You ain't nobody. You're a part of the group, but you ain't. And Miss Mama's secretary, who told you to open your mouth? And how y'all, but see, that's because everybody a fraud. Everybody is a motherfucking fraud. Because how y'all let the girl who don't know nothing about nothing step to Effie and talk to her crazy? And Effie was pregnant. Well, we figure out down the line that Effie is pregnant. But, because I feel like that's why she didn't get with her. Because it's like, I ain't going to lose my baby trying to kick your ass. But I don't know who you think you're talking to. Miss Type. Whew, I just get so upset. And then for her brother, talking about lay off Effie, just take the money and run. I will blow this building up with all of y'all in it. Stop playing with me. See, that's why I said family, blood, they ain't nothing but a human just like everybody. Like, family at the end of the day don't mean nothing. And that showed you that it didn't. Because let this come involved, you ain't family no more. You just another body. Let me calm down. But it just pisses me off so much. Because it's like, really? Y'all let this nigga that we done known for what? A year or two now? Like, I don't even know the timeline. But it's just like I said, we just met him. And y'all letting him control everything. And y'all siding with him. And y'all gonna treat me like I'm crazy? I would have been crazy, all right? I'd have been crazy. But anyway, so they move forward with the group with her name is Michelle replacing Effie. And so it's fast forward years later, and the group has had big success. Dina married Curtis like a trifling ass hoe. It's just like y'all been looking at each other and y'all knew what y'all was doing. trying to play her like she crazy. She peeped the signs. Like, y'all been had a vibe. And he, like I said, he used Effie because he knew he had to get control of Effie to get everybody else to go along. That's why I said y'all ain't nothing but some followers. At first, Effie controlled y'all, but then Curtis weaved his way in. He was a smoother talking than Effie. And then y'all went behind him. It's just like y'all ain't nothing but some little followers. Y'all had to have somebody control y'all and get y'all in line somewhere. So anyway, yeah, like I said, Dina married Curtis, and Curtis is basically the Berry Gordy of this film. You know, he done started his own record label. Well, he been started his own record label, but it's 10 years of the record label. Cause yeah, while they were a group, Rainbow Records was his thing. He got his own version of the Jackson 5, like plenty other groups, whatever. And so, but things are starting to slow down. Like, they ain't hot how they used to be. And, you know, like, they're having a meeting, and Curtis tells him, you know, slapping Dina's name and face on a record ain't gonna do it no more. Because it's just like, people used to just see her face and like, whatever she on, I want it, I'm buying it. But after 8-9 years of that ain't working no more. It's time for something else. And he tells her, he tells her, Curtis tells Cece, you don't know what you're talking about. Basically, shut up. I got this. I'm the mastermind of this. And also, Jimmy has fallen off as well. You know, he ain't doing what he needs to do. And Curtis says no. He just needs to sober up and stop doing drugs. And so Dina is supposed to be playing Cleopatra in an upcoming movie, but she doesn't want to because she's like, you know, she's 16 for half that movie. I'm not 16. And Curtis tells her, you know, you'll always be 16 to me. And it's just like, at what age did everybody meet? Because if that's the case, like, they met. Because if they were supposed to be 16 at the beginning of this movie, and it's like, you know, now then, what, those 2 years they were 18, now she's what, it's 8-9 years later, so she's 26, 27. That's creepy. And so Dina wants kids. She makes a mention of kids, and Curtis says, you know, that's going to get in the way of what we're trying to do, so no. And Effie has been down on her luck, you know, basically since she left the group. And she's, is it welfare? Like, I'm not completely sure, like, what's the correct office she's in. Because the man is asking her, you know, like, have you looked for a job? And she's like, the only thing I know how to do is sing. And since I'm not doing that, no, I haven't looked for a job and I'm not going to. And it's just like, wait a minute, Effie, sis. You can work a job while pursuing your goals on the side, you know, if it's not popping off for you right then and there. That I didn't agree with, because it's just like, okay, yes, you have a beautiful voice, but if you can't utilize your voice right now, what are you doing in the meantime? And she has a daughter, Magic, and the man asks her, so what about her father? Magic doesn't have a father. And it's like, the little girl sitting right there. It's like, really, Effie, you could have said it better than that. And Cece sent her some money, and I don't know if he had been doing it all them years, but the dad, like, opened the envelope. He's like, you know, it's money in here. She like, send it back. I don't want nothing from him, which, yes, but if you wasn't looking for a job and you weren't doing nothing, you kind of should have took the money, but I understand it too. I wouldn't did it. So what I just said, scratch that, because it's like, you did that to me? Don't send me nothing. You should even know where I stay at, but if she ain't got no job, she living with her daddy, like, girl. Anyway, so she decides to go see Marty and basically try to pursue a singing career again. And he takes her on as a client. You know, he been giving her money, buying her food, basically helping her out. And when she goes on an audition, she's still trying to have like that diva attitude. And it's like, sis, no, you need to let that go. That can no longer be your life. It shouldn't have been your life in the first place, because while, yes, you had the voice, you didn't have the lifestyle, you didn't have the career to back it up. But she sings I Am Changing, which is a beautiful song. I really encourage y'all, if you have seen it, you know, go watch it again. And if you've never seen it, go watch it. The way Jennifer Hudson sings I Am Changing, whew, that's my second favorite song of this movie. And, you know, that gets her a reoccurring gig, because it's like how strongly she put her emotions into that song. People need to hear this. And so there is a concert going on to celebrate 10 years of Rainbow Records. And Jimmy tells Laurel that his wife is there because, she's been complaining about always being in the house and never going anywhere. And so then Laurel gets an attitude about his wife being out in the crowd. And it's like, but she's his wife, sis. I know you think you're the wife or you're the on-the-road girlfriend, but still, he has a wife. No matter how long y'all been anyway. And so she reminds him that it's their anniversary as well. And I don't know if that meant that it was him and the wife's anniversary or just the anniversary of celebrating 10 years with Rainbow Records. But anyway, she's like, let me give you a kiss for each year. And she kisses him 8 times and says 8 years of unmarried life. And it's like, yeah, because he already got a wife. Who fault is that? Nobody told you to stick on this long. When you became a woman now, you should have just experienced the D and got your little hot ass on. And I'm calling her hot in the sense of her being so eager to do that just so she can say that she's a woman now and she knows womanly things just because she had sex. And so, anyway, she tells him, I see now that you've never really loved me. And he's like, man, don't start this shit. Like, please don't. I got stuff to do. And he's like, of course I love you, but I got a show to do. And it's just like, ooh, crushed her little face. And so he goes out on stage and he's serenading his wife out in the crowd and then turns to his mistress who's standing on the side of the stage. So it's just like, ah. And it's like, of course, I did that before in another video, but I just found it so funny. That they're going to look at each other and like, like, who is that? And they lock eyes on each other. And she, I guess, is finally coming together for Laurel that Jimmy just kept her on as a side piece. It's like, really, honey, you was just guaranteed coochie. It's just like, while I'm on the road, I know I got you, but my real life, my at-home life, that's my wife. Like, you ain't got that right to me. And so he stops the slow singing and he's like, man, I can't do this. This ain't even me. And then he goes into Jimmy Got Soul. And he strips down to his boxers and they gotta cut the recording, go to commercial. And Curtis comes down from the balcony and tells him, you made yourself look like a fool. You fired. Like, we done. And so then Laurel gets ready to walk off from him and he's like, where you going? And of course she couldn't wait to throw his words back at him. I got a show to do, baby. Don't you remember? And she breaks up with him and says, because he's like, I love you. And the singing that she does, it throws me off how people can go from talking just to singing, but she sings, Laurel, and Laurel loves Jimmy. Laurel loves Jimmy is true, but Laurel and Jimmy are through. And so then after they sing, then Dina is having a meeting for a movie role that she thinks that Curtis knows nothing about, where it's something grimy. She's supposed to be a hooker that's like traveling from state to state. And the producers and I guess the writer and the director that she's meeting with, they don't believe that she can do it. It's like, you're America's sweetheart. You can't play this role. And also, because I don't know what Beyonce be talking like in her real life, but even in this movie, how I said in Malcolm and Marie, you can tell when people don't cuss on the regular. Because when they say cuss words, but for them it's curse words, it don't sound right. So when she was like, no fucking bullshit, it's just like, girl, who are you? You, like, she didn't even sound right saying it, but it's just, because I'm somebody that like to cuss, as you can tell. So it's just like, when it's not genuine, I'm like, ugh, you could have put something else right there. Anyway, so they find out on the news that Jimmy is dead. He died of an overdose. And Laurel is screaming through the office. And then she's crying on Dina's, was it Dina or Michelle? Anyway, she's crying on somebody's shoulder saying she won't let me see him. Of course the fuck not. No. I don't care how many years you was his mistress. I'm his wife. He belonged to me. You can't see him. You not coming to the funeral. Nothing. You don't get none of that. Stay with it. Stay with it. And so then Cece quits finally, I guess, because they watered down his music, or Curtis told him to make it lighter, and he wasn't feeling like how light and fluffy it was. So he quits. And then he goes home, I guess, looking to see F. I don't understand why Effie didn't punch that nigga in his throat. Because when she saw him, she just basically turns and walked back down the stairs, because it took her a minute to get up. Because they had to walk up 12 flights of stairs. When I tell you I just wouldn't be there. But anyway, it took her a minute to get up them stairs. But going down, she flew down them damn stairs to get away from him. And so she sees him again. And at the club that she be performing at, because they were there like talking about Jimmy and paying respects to Jimmy. And he says, all I can say is that I was young and I made a mistake. It's like, nigga, up until you just quit, you was still working with him. You was living a comfortable life. So, yeah, you was young at one point, but you got grown. And you continue to do it anyway. So, fuck you. And he says, I promised you that I would write you a hit song. Let me do it now. Again. Fuck you. And, but she agrees. She's like, he says, I need your voice or something like that. And so she's like, say it again. I've been waiting to hear you say that. It's like, man, everybody in this movie fucking stupid. Because while I ride for Effie so hard, but it's like, sis, you also play a part. So I'm not to the point where I'm oblivious to where she plays into all of this. But it's like, more so everybody did Effie flat out the fuck wrong. It's like, while she was over here struggling, y'all went on and made millions. Y'all was living comfortably. Because I don't even care about the little change that you sent her in envelopes. Fuck that. She should have been a part of that group. It's like, and then you got with... Cece was dating Michelle. So it's like, you got with the bitch that replaced me. I would kill everybody. Okay, excuse me for a second. So he writes One Night Only. So you know how I said I Am Changing is my second favorite song? One Night Only is my favorite song from this movie. I love... It's so good. It's so good. And it's starting to get some traction to the point where Curtis hears about it. And he's like, well, Cece wrote it, so that makes it ours. And he goes and turns it into a disco version for the group. Trash. One Night Only disco version is trash. It is ugh, I hate it. And them dance, trash. One Night Only disco is trash. Fight me. It's trash. And so, of course, they hear that and they think that once again, it is them spiting Effie. And now Curtis, Cece feels a way about that. It's like, but that's exactly what you did to your sister damn near 9 years ago. Like, but now that it's also you included in that and you not on the other side, now you feel away. But Curtis also shuts down the movie that Dina was trying to get herself into. He like, you not doing that. And she said something. He said, do you read your contracts, or are you just a pretty face? You can't wipe your own ass without my say so. And it's just like, ooh. Well, got you there, sis. It's like, what you gonna do? You did it. And I'm like, I don't know why. And the only thing I could think is that she would think that he would have her best interest at heart and do for the good of her. It's like, you see what y'all... It was him, but like he was headlining, but you see what y'all did to your so-called best friend, childhood friend. What made you think he wouldn't do that to you? Because he slept with her too. So it's like, it can't be just because y'all slept together and that y'all married. Anyway, So after that, that upsets her, and she's going through his things, and she finds all the journals of where he kept track of his dealings of paying off radio stations, his mob ties, his gambling. And she also finds Effie's One Night Only song or track, and that makes her call Effie. And for some reason, Effie picked up Effie, you way too forgiving. I mean, hey, power to you. You got that off your conscience, but you way too forgiving, sis. When I tell you, everybody would have had to line up and kiss my ass. But anyway, so Effie, CC, Marty, and the lawyers show up to Rainbow Records, and they tell him that if he doesn't, comply with their terms, they turning over all that information to the FBI. And so Effie and Dina are talking, and she tells her about Magic. You got a baby? And Effie's like, well, Magic ain't a baby, sis. She almost 9 years old. And it clicks. It's like, yeah, the child that you wanted, the kids that you can't have, he's out there with the kid. But Effie tells her, he doesn't know. So, don't be looking like that. But it's just like, do you have a right to feel away? You stole her dream and you stole her man. So the fact that you can't have kids, so nobody feels sorry for you. It's like, see, God don't like ugly. Y'all been living comfortably all this time, and it's like, when things didn't go, and that's the thing, I don't care about anybody in this situation except for Effie and Magic. It's like, it wasn't until things didn't go y'all way that y'all finally decide, like, oh, let me do what's right. So like I said, fuck Dina, fuck Laurel, fuck Secretary, fuck Cece, fuck Curtis. Shit, fuck Jimmy too. Don't nobody care about his overdoses. Like, nigga, you was a part of that too, because you came in at the same time they did, and then nobody feel no way about cutting Effie off. Well, you know what? Whatever. So where we at? And so their terms are they get their own record label, and they get nationwide distribution of their version of One Night Only. And if anything falls through with the deal, he going to jail. And so when he gets home, Dina is packing up her stuff and she's leaving. He's like, where you going? You can't do nothing. And she said, Effie started all over. Why can't I? Because you ain't strong enough and you ain't smart enough. That's why. And she says, because she talking about the One Night Only record. How could you do that to Effie? No, how could y'all do that to Effie? Child. And because I wrote in my notes, I said, you mean what y'all did to her 8 years ago? It's like, how you, and that's another thing too. It's like, Cece did it too. Like, y'all just not gonna place the blame on Curtis. Like I said, yes, he's the leader, but y'all fell in line and followed the leader too. So they're having a farewell performance as a group, the Dreams, and they bring Effie out on stage to sing with them. No, ain't going, ain't doing it. It's just like, why? I don't even know why she would agree to that, but like I said, Effie is better than me. She let bygones be bygones, and she agreed to do it. And so while Effie is singing, she's singing to Magic, and Curtis is once again up in the balcony looking down, and he notices that she's singing to like a child, and so he comes down looking at Magic, then looking at her, basically doing the math in his head, like, she looking like, could that be? And that's the end of the film. So it's just like, I need to know what happened. Do they go get a paternity test? Do Curtis figure out that that's his child? Is he put on child support? Like, sis, what happened? I hate when films just cut off like that. I need to know what happened, because she should have been getting all his money, or at least half of it. Anyway, so yes, that is my review / retelling of Dreamgirls 2006 version with Beyonce, Eddie Murphy, Jennifer Hudson, Jamie Foxx, Anina Noki Rose, homegirl from Why Did I Get Married the movies. I do not know her name, and I'm so sorry. Peace and blessings, my beautiful people.